Goes on, the beat goes on. Good morning, everybody. Great to be with you here. Another edition of Defo on 5. I'm Jeff DeForest, the handsome one there. On the other side of the screen is one Mike Lubie Lubitz. Lubie probably with a little case of the shakes after having a night off. Did you need a night of rest to just sort of get it out of your system a little bit? The Heat and the Panthers and this wild run that we're having in the playoffs. It's so wild, Lubie. I didn't even realize this until yesterday. My son Jesse, the great Jesse DeForest, took his family, his lovely wife Kelly, and my two grandchildren, Liam and Christian, to Disney World. You talk about an adventuresome guy. I mean, he's taking them up there for the week.
Oh, wow. Really?
Could you do a week of Disney World? A
No,
week of Disney World.
no.
I don't know how he made these arrangements. I did see an advertisement yesterday that was a little bit more comforting because they had an ad. I don't know if he took advantage of this, of a 4-day, $58 pass. What would the qualifications be to be able to qualify for that
Yeah,
kind of a discount?
$50
What do you think?
a day. It's 4 days, $58 a day.
A day?
Yes.
Oh,
That's what it is. Yeah.
two
'Cause
sticks plus for each kid plus
yes.
the parents.
Oh, no, it's a grand. To go to Disney for one day,
Excuse
it's
me.
grand regardless. They want to
Could you
get
shut
grand.
us down for a second?
Oh, yeah.
Joking on that. Yeah.
It's
Two sticks. I thought it was $58 for the 4 days. What are you talking
no,
about? $12 a day. That would have been beautiful. No.
it's 100 something to get in. They're not Disney cuts prices, but they don't do buy one get one or anything like that.
Oh my God. All right. Well, he's in good shape for that because I didn't realize this. He had mentioned this to me. I think it might have been after the Knicks series where the Heat still 16-1 to win the NBA championship. Because I remember I probably could go back and look at the text and see when it was received. But he said, "What do you think, Dad? 16-1 on the Miami Heat to win the championship." Now they were facing the Boston Celtics and then going to have to knock off the Denver Nuggets. I don't believe this was prior to the Knicks series because the Heat were some ridiculous number going into the postseason. Might have been like 500-1 to win the championship. It couldn't have been that high, but could it have been 50-1 to win the championship going into the
Even
postseason,
the
an eight
eighth
seed?
seed, I mean, and they barely got in. Their odds should have been ridiculous.
All right, well, whatever it was, when they were 16-1, I think it was after they had already won two series and were getting ready to face Boston. 16-1 to win the championship. Not just, I mean, they were underdogs, obviously, in the Boston series, and they're 4-1 underdogs against Denver. So that number doesn't seem so preposterous. And he actually took up a proposition. I said, yeah, why not take a shot? So now the question is, and it's probably the toughest question that you'll ever have to answer in your life. It's not like, do you take this woman to be your lawfully wedded wife for the rest of your natural life? That's one question. Do you accept this sentence? I mean, you're at a sentencing hearing, and are you okay with that? I mean, these are tough questions. But the toughest question I think that any degenerate has to answer is to hedge or not to hedge. That's the question. Now, I would think you naturally hedge here,
Yeah,
looking at kind of an ominous price
they're not winning.
against you, and the fact that the Heat. I didn't realize this. And now they only played two times a year since 2021. The Denver Nuggets and Miami Heat. They play two times a year. That's kind of the way the league is set up. And so the Western teams, you don't see too much of them. But the Heat have lost six straight to the Denver Nuggets. They have not won since 2020. Actually, going back beyond that, obviously, it would be 2019 2020 season. They've lost six in a row. They lost both games this year. Neither game was an embarrassment. They lost in Denver 124-119, and they lost at home 112-108. I believe in one of those games, Jamal Murray was not playing in at least one of those games. Jokic was brilliant in both, as was Jimmy Butler. Jokic in the last outing, 27, 12, and 8. This goes back a ways, though, and I think you could make this case that the Heat are a much better team than they were at that point, whereas the Denver Nuggets were already established as being what they are now, which is obviously a dynamite team as well, and a team that's in incredible synchronization. So they were 0-2 in the regular season. They're 0-6 going back to 2021, and yet I don't know what kind of chance do you really accord them? Should the odds be as staggering as 4-1 against Miami? You'll only get 3-1 if you take Miami in the series. So you notice a little differential there. How is it that the boys that are making the action and taking the bets are always the ones that make out? They always have that little edge there. It's called the vig. It's called the juice. It's a little bit of a divide. But anyway, I mean, what would you do? How much would you hedge off if you were had $100 at 16-1 on the Miami Heat right now to win this series? Would you hedge off 500 of it? What do you think, Lubie? What,
I
what,
don't
what
know.
what would your
Yeah,
approach be?
because you're winning. I don't know how much you put down, but your winnings are
Let's say you put down 100. I'm going to assume he put down 100. That would be something the
1600
Jets man might do.
is really nice. But if you start eating into it, then it's your winnings are only so much. The problem is, it's really hard for me to see them actually winning this series. I don't think they're going to get annihilated. I think they'll be in it. But the Nuggets are just better, and it's hard for me. And then Butler and Bam don't look like themselves, and the Nuggets look 100% healthy. Like the Nuggets don't have anything
Well,
holding them
they
back,
should be now. Yeah. They've been off for like
and
three
then you
months.
have a week and a half off. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's hard for me to see them actually winning. So that's the thing is you could have gotten this far, and that's amazing, and then you win nothing. Like that
No, well,
sucks.
actually, you lose if you don't hedge off.
Nah, I know that's what I'm saying. Like you actually don't win after
Right.
being this close. Like I
It's enough money. It's enough of a margin at 1600 plus 1600. It's enough of a margin to go ahead and be able to afford at least like a $400
Yeah,
hedge.
I would
No.
say 400 or 500, and then that way you at least win 500, and worse you win 1100.
Well, I mean, if you bet 500 and the Heat did win the series, you're now winning 1,200 instead of 1,600 or 1,500 because you have to count in the
Oh,
original 100 that you put up, right?
yeah, yeah.
If you make this bet now you've if you win and you're getting whatever on the series, I guess you'd have to put up 400 to win 100. I'm not sure. I don't know. I mean, you have to put up 400 to win 100. So you only get your money back if you put up 400 on the Denver Nuggets, but then at least you don't lose. Maybe it's not worth it, Libby. What do you think? This is why these are the questions that are impossible. This is why we need the help of the Five Reasons Sports Network and all of the people in the Heat Nation. Would you hedge your bet at this time? I think that's really the only question that needs to be answered here today. Never mind whether Butler could be covered or what are they going to do about Jokic. The only question is to hedge or not to hedge. Now, it was nice having a little break because I got into something yesterday that was absolutely fantastic. I fell into it by absolute accident, Louie. And I know it's not necessarily popular. I mean, this is one of my own personal obsessions. I'm watching the French Open right now. There's live action. You have the modern day Italian version of Anna Kournikova on the court right now, going against the daughter of the owner of the Buffalo Bills and the Buffalo Sabres and a certified billionaire, the Pagulas. They own the city of Buffalo, do they not? And Jessica Pagula is right now destroying the lovely Camilla Giorgi, who I'm not sure. I mean, she is maybe a little bit more accomplished than Anna Kournikova as a tennis player. Maybe not quite as strikingly gorgeous. I mean, if you like that blonde, blue-eyed type, but very, very attractive young girl. But getting destroyed right now. French Open is great because, as we've said, the red clay is like quicksand to a lot of players. We saw Danil Medvedev, who actually had made a very fine representation of himself and won a red clay tournament, his first ever, during the preliminaries leading up to the French Open. They have a series of tournaments across Europe, Barcelona, Monte Carlo. I mean, a lot of great tournaments. And I've been watching a lot of this action, and many people are playing well. The tennis level, I don't think, has ever been better at any time during the course of the history of the sport. You might not have as many commonly worldwide known superstars, but you have enough of those, and you have young guys and young ladies that are dynamite right now that are playing just tremendous tennis. And I've said this before that of the women's sports, I think the women's pro tennis players most closely approximate the game that you see from the men. I don't believe women's basketball players, approximate the game. I mean, if you watch a WNBA game and an NBA game, it's night and day. You watch a men's college basketball game and a women's college basketball game. It looks like the women are playing rugby compared to the men. Not to diminish it, not to demean it, not to be disparaging, Louie, because we're always trying to encourage the participation of women and the recognition of great women athletes. Georgie just defaulted, by the way, after getting destroyed in the first set. So I don't know if it was the shame, an injury, but she bowed out. So Pagula moves on to the third round. Young American player who happens to be a real star, and yet hasn't really distinguished herself with any kind of championship level because the competition is that good. And it is surprising too, because as I'm droning on here about tennis, I always feel a little uncomfortable about it. I have for the many years that I've been on the air here in South Florida, where for some reason nobody wants to talk about this, even though everybody plays. Lubie, you
Mm.
go out to the courts today, right now. If you went to like the Pompano Municipal Center, you couldn't get a court right now. All 16 courts would be occupied. People would be waiting, and they'll probably be doing that all morning long. I mean, it's obviously a very popular sport here, and yet why is it that nobody wants to discuss it, Libby? Can you think about that? I mean, is it just that we in the media drive people towards the major sports and never discuss any of the other stuff? But last night was fantastic, and it had to be round about midnight in Paris. They're 6 hours ahead of us. So about 6 o'clock, I plunk down on the couch here. I turn on the TV. I say, let me see what's going on in the French Open. And there is Gael Monfils. Are you familiar with Gael Monfils?
I didn't realize he was still playing.
Most people didn't know he was still playing. I don't even know if he knew he was still playing because he's kind of been out of it. He's attempted comebacks this year. He's 36 years old. He's had a nice career. He was ranked as high as number 6 in the world. I didn't realize he had only gotten as far twice as the semifinal of a couple of Grand Slams. A marvelously athletic specimen who just kind of like Kyrgios, just has this bizarre ability, to track down shots and do all kinds of funny stuff, all kinds of different maneuvers that he has. Yeah, he has more moves than anybody, or did at one time on the professional tennis circuit. Has power. He can serve. Has a well-rounded game, and is extremely popular, as you would imagine. Being a Frenchman, Monfils. Can you say Monfils in French, Libby?
Monfils.
Monfils. Very good. He is wildly popular in France, much like Joe Willie Songa was when he retired. I mean, that was a moving event when Joe Willie Songa had announced that he was retiring. And I believe it might have been at the French Open that he had his final bout, final match. And I think he got knocked down in the first round. And the crowd was just absolutely bananas. The tribute was tremendous. All of these stars came out, to pay homage to Joe Willie Songa for an excellent career. So the feeling is very much the same. Maybe even more endearing of a character is Gael Monfils. All right, so he's up 2-1, and he's absolutely out of gas. You have to win 3 out of 5 at the French Open. He's out of gas. I mean, he's cramping. He's stopping after every point to bend over. He's clearly not equipped to go 4 or 5 sets at this stage of his career. And you thought maybe after winning and going up 2-1, he was going to retire. He probably should have, as he gets blown out in the next set, 6-1. But by that time, the crowd is so into it. After he won the third set, I've never seen a crowd like this at a tennis match ever in my life. And we've been talking about this, about how great it is to be in an atmosphere. There was no atmosphere I've seen on the sporting scene recently, including Stanley Cup finals, NBA finals, any of the stuff that's happening right now that could approximate what was happening at the stadium court there, midnight. Everybody's still there. They all want to see Monfils finish this match one way or the other. They figure they may be bidding him au revoir permanently if he loses this thing. And if not, he's going to run into the young stud Holger Rune, who we've been talking about, in the second round anyway, and it's going to be hasta la vista, baby. If you wanted to translate the French into Spanish, I mean into into Italian, hasta la vista, man. Gone. He's going to be out of there. So anyway, he loses 10 of the next 11 games after winning the third set. Now the crowd is singing. I mean, it was like a soccer crowd. It was insane. They're in unison. This poor guy, Sebastian Baez, I mean, was having to take the brunt of this, and he's hanging in there. And he looks like he's just going to finish off the systematic destruction of Gael Monfils and possibly put an end, a period, on what was a very good career that ran into a lot of sort of shattered results over the last few years due to injuries and periods of time, long periods of time where he was not able to play. So Monfils gets down 4-0 in the third set, and the crowd is still trying to motivate the guy. And he's looking up at his box after every point and going, he's almost laughing, saying, I can't even walk, right? He's cramping. Hamstring cramps, can you imagine? It's one thing, you get a cramp in your calf. You might be able to shake that off on the tennis courts. But, I mean, when the thighs go, have you ever had that happen to you while you were playing a sport? Both legs are cramping up. You can actually see the musculature you could see, the hamstring just cramping badly. Every time this guy took a step, he's pulling his shorts up. He's bent over. So he's down 4-11, and he rallies back, gets back into a position where it's 4-4. Place is going bananas, Lubie. I mean, I'm surprised the Eiffel Tower didn't come down from the seismographic, activity that was going on inside this stadium yesterday at Roland Garros. And sure enough, he loses the next game. So it appears now Baez is finally going to shake out of this thing, and that's going to be it for Monfils. Breaks back to go to 5-5. And then he ends up holding his serve, and in a series of shots that he could only make while standing still, he wins the final set and moves on. And I have never seen a place erupt like that after every point. It was incredible, Luby. Best atmosphere I've seen on the sporting landscape, including Panther games into quadruple overtime. Of anything that we've experienced recently. So it was kind of nice to get that on a day off. It wasn't nice to see the ninth inning of last night's Marlins game. That was ugliness, my friend. This Dylan Floro, I don't know how Schumacher even calls the when he picks up the phone. Does he dial 911 and say, "Okay, send in Floro"?
Well, Alcantara's not the same dude. He was great for 6 innings, and then he started to get touched up, but it was okay. He had 80 pitches heading into the seventh, so it's like, all right, cool. And then he got hit hard in the
shelled, yeah. Yeah, he ended up giving up 4 runs in a game. But boy, I mean, that the Marlins are above 500 with Alcantara having the kind of snickeroo season he's having so far. He walks 5 in the game also. 6 1/3, 5 hits, gives up 4 runs, walks 5, only strikes out 3, earned run average 4.93.
Yeah, he's not the same guy. I don't know what the hell. And he actually got run support. I mean, giving Alcantara 4 runs is like a freaking
That's
dream.
like giving him 30 runs. It really is. Brian De La Cruz with a home run. I'm glad you texted me on that. I did not take them up on the proposition. I can't imagine what the odds were. That was his 7th of the season. He's actually having a really good year, Brian De La Cruz. He's hitting right around 300, which is my benchmark. I want to see some consistency along with the occasional power. But the Marlins go down 9-4 to the San Diego Padres yesterday. The bullpen falling apart in this ball game, and so that was their start to, I think, a 3-game set against the Padres. Good to hear Tommy Hutton on the broadcast, by the way, our good friend Tommy Hutton. Sent him a text. He got right back to me, too. I mean, right in the middle of a comment he was making, all of a sudden, I was like, thanks, Defo. I said, you're sounding good, kid. Later on, too, if you catch the Defo show on South Florida Live, we will be talking with Eric Reed, the voice of the Miami Heat. So we'll get his perspective on things. I tried to get a line yesterday. I don't know that we could do this live, Louis, but if you're not adverse to maybe taping something after the show, we might be able to get a hold of Scott Hastings, who has been in Denver forever as a sportscaster and, of course, was an original member of the Miami Heat, was a very popular guy, even though he didn't do much, and later on became a huge figure in Denver sports as, I guess, the bulk of his career. Did he finish with the Nuggets, or what was he there before he got to the Miami Heat? He has a long-time relationship with the Denver Nuggets. So it'd be interesting to get his perspective. Eric Reed, though, has been broadcasting. I see him out there on the floor with John Crotty after these games. They're doing stuff on Fox. No, it's not Fox anymore. Bally Sports Sun. I believe they're carrying like a post-game show. Ron Rothstein told us about
with the Nuggets, 91 to 93. That's where he finished his career.
Oh, okay, yeah. Very popular guy because he was one of those kind of Bob Uecker types when it came to his comments about the game. He was always, one of those guys that had a sense of humor about what he was doing, didn't take everything like it was life and death. Some of these guys, I don't know, do you have to be dead serious to be a big-time competitor? Do you have to have a game face on at all times like Jimmy Butler, where it never looks like he's happy? Although he's shown signs of feeling better about things, hasn't he? I mean, I've seen Jimmy Butler smile a couple of times, actually. Especially after those wins against the Boston Celtics. He didn't mind beating the Knicks either, I wouldn't think. But anyway, Eric Reed going to join us on the program, and also Craig Minervini, who obviously has been following the hockey team for many, many years now as part of the broadcast team there. So looking forward to those conversations coming up on the Defo Show on South Florida Live. Subscribe to that if you like what you see here. And this is kind of a mini version of what we do. So happy to be with you on 5 Reasons Sports Network. Scoop Skolnick being dispatched to Denver. So he'll have all kinds of stuff here on 5 Reasons. And they'll go into great detail on this, no? The 5 Reasons Sports Network, Heat Nation, I mean, I think they're one and the same, are they not? Could be. All right, so that's coming up later on, 7 o'clock till 9. That's live, South Florida Live. For Mike Lubie Lubitz, I'm Jeff DeForest. Thanks for tuning in. Just a little quickie here in the morning. And we'll see you next time tomorrow on the next edition of Defo on 5.